And I super excited then to introduce Racheal. I'll let you introduce yourself. But Racheal Allen is going to talk about my two favorite things: operations and sovereignty, freedom. Yeah, freedom. About
Before Racheal introduces herself, I just wanted to share that Racheal has been our operations coach for EEGP over the last 5 years. And so if anybody who's done the EEGP knows Racheal already and always sings her praises every cohort. There's somebody reaching out saying, Racheal put them on. So Racheal is apparently the plug. And though she and I have been in community for the last several years, I have not had an opportunity to, I haven't sat in on a session. So I'm sad I'm going to miss most of this because I'm going to be in flight, but we have it recorded. I can't wait to watch. And Racheal, I'm so glad you're here. And also, Racheal is one of our coaches from Detroit. So Racheal is joining us from Michigan this morning. But Racheal, I will certainly let you give your spiel. I just wanted to share that you are not new to this. You're true to this. You've been with us for many years now.
Yeah, and Nakia, you are right. It has been 5 years. And so when I think about just the growth of the well and working with you all, it's been such a privilege. This is always one of my favorite things to do. And I'm always thrilled to just talk about the journey. And so when Nakia asked me to speak this morning, I really wanted to share what was on my heart, which is if you would have talked to me even a couple weeks ago, I would have probably presented a very different conversation than the one that I'm going to present today. But like the sister shared here, I'm going to talk a little bit about my favorite two things: operations and economic sovereignty, and how they are tied together. Because I'm sitting at a really beautiful intersection that I pray every Black woman business owner gets to experience. So I'll share a little bit about my story and how it is that I've gotten to this place, which is being able to essentially fire myself from my business and to spend the next year on sabbatical, restoration. But essentially, my team is leading our major work while I go inward to build our next global strategy. And I want to put this into perspective for you because just 3 years ago, I had a corporate career and I was at the top of my field leading operations work. I was a chief operating officer for $100 million project led by the Kresge Foundation here in Detroit. And I thought that I had made it. I was making more money than I had ever been making in my life. I was in the media and in the press every other week. And I had all of the trappings of what felt like that success that we are told we should pursue. And it wasn't until I got to the top of that in 2020 when I realized that so many of the things that we've been told is what equates to success or making it or, getting out the mud isn't real. And I want to sit with that for a second because as Black women, we are told that if we get the degree, if we get married, if we buy the house, if we join the sorority, if we do all of the things, that we're going to get to the top of that mountain and we're going to be safe. And I got to the top of that mountain and I realized that that couldn't have been further from the truth. And after a series of personal unravelings, I had a whole lot of personal things being thrown at me that year. What I realized is that it didn't matter how far I came in the system. If it was something that I had not created for myself, I would never actually be safe and protected. And this is why I love entrepreneurship so much, because while I was still working that corporate job, I was also building Operations School and Racheal Allen Inc., which was my ecosystem of businesses. And back in 2022 is when I finally jumped off the porch. I mustered the courage to really get back into entrepreneurship full time. And interestingly, I had done this already. I had been working for myself back in as early as 2004 when I started my first business at 21. But you know how life goes. Entrepreneurship was hard and it kicked my ass. And it got to a point where I was like, you know what? I've had enough of this. I want to go back into corporate because I wanted to be safe. And I didn't have the language then to say that safety you can't get from a white man's job. You only can get it from something that you have built and created for yourself because you know that you are not going to fail you. And so, fast forward, I started really leaning into that work again full time. It became super successful. I now have an enterprise of about 5 businesses that are all multi 7 figure businesses. And it's a beautiful thing. And so, just last week, I announced publicly we had this beautiful fundraiser and gala. And I was able to announce that I'm getting ready to take a year off to go into sabbatical. I've already started some of this work, which includes working with what I like to call the masters of personal self-development. So I'm working with Iyanla Van Zant and Queen Afua, and that's my personal spiritual journey. But the way that my work is shifting as a result of taking this pause is the only reason that I am able to walk away from what I've built to focus on myself is because I have built sustainable operations. And this is the manifesto that I want every Black woman to hear me say, which is when we talk about building systems and processes and people procedures and creating a culture around the business that you are creating, it's not so that you can just give jobs to other people. It's not so that you can just look cute on social media. It's so that you can get the freedom that you desire. And that looks different for each of us. And so there is a whole other level of entrepreneurship that we don't often hear about because so often Black women have never got to this place. And that place is being able to pace your day around your own rhythm, being able to build your weeks, your months, your year around shit that you like to do, and to build it in a way that honors you at the core of your business. And if you were to have this conversation in a room full of others, they would say that it's selfish. How dare you? Who do you think you are? Whole time, they are keeping from us what they get to experience. They wake up, they set their day, they set the pace of their day. They wake up, they go into yoga and meditation, right? They drink their tea. They start their day from a place of overflow. But as Black women, we've been conditioned to think that there is only one pace. And so part of what I wanted to share with you all today is a little bit about what this looks like, because there are others that are here, right? And there are other people that, as I've talked to some of the most successful people that I know, they all operate this way. But again, we don't come back and tell other people because there's so few people in entrepreneurship there that we think it's a myth. We think it's something for other people. And what I'm here to tell you is this is something that is possible for you. So I want to just kind of give you a glimpse into this was I'm going to say this was my Monday because I made a point of sitting in it longer than I probably would have because I had to remember that this was something that is still very new for me. And what it looks like is literally waking up without an alarm. And I want you to just, as I'm sharing these words, I want you to sit with what this version would look like for you, okay? Waking up without an alarm, going to meditate. So I have this beautiful meditation cushion that vibrates, y'all. And I got to tell you, it's a hack. It's a game changer because meditating by itself is a game changer. But once you start to really get into it and you realize, okay, these are the secrets that people have been keeping from us, right? Now you've got to like step up your meditation game. So I'm going to tell you that that's something that is new. And I got this new meditative cushion and it really sent my meditative practice to the next level. So I just couldn't believe it. And so I get up and I meditate with no sense of urgency. I think my guided meditation was about 22 minutes. So I was able to meditate for that time. I got up, I went to the gym. I spent 2 hours in the gym where I was able to sit in the sauna, steam room. I did a couple miles on the tread, right? I left and I treated myself to a smoothie. I went to Target. I bought healthy snacks. Just like, okay, you know what? When I'm kind of working, let me get some, I'm trying some vegan meals. So I'm leaning into some vegan snacks. I came home, I took a nap. Maybe it was 2 hours, maybe, not really sure, but probably about 2 hours. And then after I woke up from my nap and I felt refreshed, I got to work. And I got to work, and it was probably 4 o'clock in the afternoon by the time I started my day. And I got a chance to work probably for about 6 hours. And I did some of my best work in that 4 hours, which is I'm building out our global expansion strategy for Operations School. And I ended my day talking to my beloved, who is someone who sees me, someone who gets me, someone that I don't have to shrink in front of, right? Someone who champions my work, someone who invites me to do my best work, right? And I got to end my day in a heart-filled space. Now, I want to pause there for a second, because in no way is that meant to be a flex. That is to paint a picture of what is possible today, but I can't really give you that to appreciate if I don't tell you what my life looked like 5 years ago. Okay?
Okay.
So 5 years ago, again, I'm gonna go back 3 years. I told you that I was working that corporate job 5 years ago. I'm gonna go back 3 years ago when I jumped off the porch and was doing this work full time. So I was leaning into my consulting work. I was also doing operational strategy for nonprofits and small businesses and coaching and teaching. I was doing things like almost working 7 days a week, resting very little, because I needed the money and I needed to get clients and I needed to be visible. And so I felt guilty sleeping and resting. I felt lazy when my body was telling me that I needed to rest. I felt like I was unproductive and that I wouldn't be able to take care of my family if I didn't work. I only knew one pace, and that was to go, go, and go, and go. And so in 2023, I ended up getting separated from my husband at the time. We were in Jamaica for the second time that year. And he says to me, "You are a workaholic, and I don't want to do this with you anymore." Because he was right. I took my computer to Jamaica because I had to work while in Jamaica. And instead of me saying, "No, I'll stop working, I'll do something different," I knew that my business was bigger than me. And I said, "You are right. You want something different, but this is what I desire." And I knew that if I stayed on the path that I was on, that things would go the way that God had told me that they would go. And they did. And so I had to kind of release a whole lot of things back in 2023, including the identity that I thought that I needed to keep by being the person that I was. And so that meant that without my own, fruition, the marriage went away. The titles, the identity, all of these things had to go away for the true version of me to be born. And so what that meant was I found myself on an eat, pray, love trip at the end of 2023. My spirit was calling so heavily for me to get out of where I was that in 4 weeks, I went to 4 different places. I went to Cartagena, Colombia, Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic, Sedona, and then Phoenix. And each of those places gave me something else for my journey. Cartagena gave me warmth in December, and it showed me that there was love that could be possible for me in a different way that I had seen before. Sedona gave me rest. I literally spent a week in Sedona while it was snowing in Sedona, for me to be able to sit with myself and work on my shadow work and face some of the things that I had not been able to face because I had been so busy moving and going that I couldn't just sit with myself. And so that put me on the path to realize that rest was just as important in my business as my P&L, as my clients, as everything else. So in 2023, I ended up taking that month off, which led to another month off in my business. In 2024, I took 4 months off of my business, each time building up my team, allowing them to work without me. So that literally what started a few years ago with a solo team, I had no consultants or contractors. I now have a team of 7 full-time people and about 40 consultants and contractors that support my work. And now this is what has laid the groundwork for this 1 year sabbatical of rest and restoration. And so I say all of this to share a few things with you. One is to tell you that your rest is radical. And I want to pause there for a second, because you cannot be the true CEO that you are being called to when you stay busy. You cannot hear the vision. You cannot hear the purpose. You cannot hear your next business move because you are too busy moving. And you have been operating from a place of struggle, scarcity, lack, ego, fear, because that's what we are conditioned to do. We don't know how to be CEOs who lead from intuition, clarity, softness as strength, power. We don't, because we don't give ourselves the permission to lean into that. So what does it look like? It looks like the same white supremacist message that they teach us in corporate, we have adopted in entrepreneurship. So that manifests as we are constantly in hustle, grind, struggle mode. And we think that that is going to unlock the chains of generational wealth. I'm here to tell you it does not. That keeps us safe, stuck, and broke.
Just because I know. Okay.
And ladies, I have to keep it this 100, because has somebody said some of these same things to me, I don't even know that I would have allowed it to resonate. I would have not been able to receive it, because the way that I had been conditioned, it was, if I do not work, my family does not eat. I am the primary breadwinner. I cannot quit this corporate job. I have a mortgage. I have 4 children. My husband don't half-ass know what he want to do sometimes professionally. I got to keep it all together. If I don't keep it all together, it's going to fall apart. So if a Black woman would have said to me, your wealth is tied to the opposite of what you are doing, I wouldn't have been able to receive it. And so what I'm here to tell you as a living, breathing manifestation of this is somebody who can tell you, yes, if it makes you receive my words any better, I will tell you that I got it out the mud. I was the high school dropout. I had a baby at 17. I've been on welfare twice. I have all of the struggle story so that you understand that I'm not saying this from a place that somebody gave it to me. But what I'm also here to tell you is that what I'm offering you right now is a gift. It is a gift. What Nakia has given you by allowing me to share these words with you today is a gift should you choose to unwrap it. And what it is that the way that you are running your business, the way that we have been told to run our businesses, the way that we have been conditioned to run our businesses has been a lie. It is so that we can say so exhausted and so tired that all we have left at the end of the day is just enough time to watch some reality TV, scroll on social media, and go to bed the next day and start over, is because if we could really be still and sit with ourselves, we would get the answers that we are actually looking for. And the answers that you're actually looking for are, what business am I really here to run? Because I'm going to tell you, I've run probably 15 businesses, and each business I thought was a little better than the last one. But the real reason why I was starting these businesses is because they made money. Why else would I start a business? Except when I tapped into what I started building with operations school, I realized I was tapping into divine assignment. And the first point that I want to make to you is I want you to begin to discover your divine assignment, which is, why are you here? Why would your creator, why would your higher self put you into this reality? And even if you think that you are operating in purpose, you might not be operating in your divine assignment. So what is your divine assignment? It is the exact prescription for what you should be doing based on everything else that has happened in your life up until this point. So if I were to tell you that I started an insurance company, I started a legal services firm, I've sold wigs from India, I have done consulting, I've cleaned houses, I've done everything you could possibly think of. But the minute that I paired my operational knowledge, my 20 years of operations experience, and my ability to teach and impart complex information to people in a sustainable way, and I literally created something called Operations School, I was marrying everything that I had ever been prepared to do into one moment. So I started with a workshop. I said, you know what, while I'm still working my corporate job, I just want to help people. I want to teach some boot camps. I want to teach them some of these things that I've been putting in white people's businesses for the last 20 years: systems, technology, operations, strategy. I want to teach Black folks the stuff that white people have been paying me a lot of money to teach them. And I started with my very first workshop. It was a $250 workshop for 6 weeks, and it sold out. And then I raised the price to $500, and it sold out again. I raised the price to $1,000, and it sold out in 90 minutes. And that's when I knew I was onto a business. And that same little business that started out with me teaching boot camps and rented space turned into, I am sitting in my 10,000 square foot incubator space. I have the only incubator of its kind in Metro Detroit. We support over 1,000 Black businesses each year through our work. We have received a $3 million grant from the state of Michigan. I have clients like Apple, where we are training entrepreneurs all over the state of Michigan and now globally, because of a little idea that allowed me to put my magic together. It sounds really simple now, but because I was so busy only doing things that made money, it never occurred to me that I could make so much money doing something so simple. So I invite you to ask yourself right now, what is the thing that you do so effortlessly that you don't even think you could make money doing it because it comes so natural to you? So when I think about operations and then teaching, I took for granted that I've never taken a business class in my life, and yet I get paid to teach people operational strategy. I think about the fact that I went to school to be a teacher because I thought I was going to teach elementary school. And whole time, it meant that I was supposed to just use my words to teach people. Do you see how it is the thing that you were born with, not the thing that you had to create or go get 75 degrees to do, but it is the gift that you were born with. That is your divine assignment. So I challenge you to be still long enough to look at your life and ask, what are the gifts that I came here with? Not the ones I had to go buy, but what gifts did I come here with? Because now your job is to remember, not to go create, not to go do something else, but to simply remember so that you can tap into what it is that you're supposed to be doing. So the next point I'll share is, once you have your divine assignment, you are to go and share your gifts with the world. You heard me say the world, not your backyard, not your friends and family, the world. And that means we have to get over ourselves long enough to share our God-given talents. So I want you to think about people who make their money being 100% themselves. I want you to think about somebody like Tabitha Brown. She is probably the closest embodiment that Black women can see right now in 2025 of somebody who is showing up and just sharing their light. And do you see how the universe has unfolded its magic for a Tabitha Brown? Somebody could even say, well, what is it exactly that she does?
Oh no.
Who knows? Who knows? But she's being herself doing it. So whether she is making TV shows or acting or making products or just sharing inspirational content, she's being herself. And the universe has unfolded to that everything she touches turns to gold. And so that is the example that I want you to find for yourself. And it means you don't have to be like anybody. You just have to simply find the courage to be your actual self. And I will tell you that for years, I would pull the mask down, let people see me, and then I would kind of feel how wonderful it felt for people to see me. But then I put the mask back up because the truth is, in this core culture, you got to be careful. You can't say this, you can't say that sometimes. And the truth is we want to be liked, we want to be accepted, right? So we only gonna say so much. But then there came a point where I could not tell the truth no more. And for me, the truth is me saying just what I'm saying to y'all right now, which is there is a system that has been created to keep especially Black women out. And so if we just distract y'all and give y'all a few crumbs, we're gonna give y'all that little title. We're gonna give you a BMW or a Mercedes, you pick. But it's not real safety, because the truth of the matter is when they pull the rug out from under you like they're doing now, what we gonna do? And so there are no coincidences that Black women are the fastest growing sector of entrepreneurs, because we know something that other people don't. That we gotta take our lived experience and go share it. That's how we make money. We don't make money because we sell things to people and we get people to convince them to buy things from us. We make money by simply being who we are and sharing our gifts and talents with the world. And so now, once you have figured out your divine assignment, you got to go give it back. You got to go tell other people. You have to go share it with other people, because I want you to think back to the 1970s when Black people were finally getting into the middle class and they made it out the hood, right? You know, the auntie and them that finally moved to the suburbs. What did they do? They stopped remembering that they used to be like the people who were in the hood. And they thought that being close to white people was the goal. And if I'm being honest, I thought that too. If I moved to this community, if I send my kids to these schools, I thought my proximity to whiteness would keep me safe. It does not. And so once you figure out what you are here to do, your job is to help make sure that other people hear it too. So if you are doing that through a product or a service, you have to tell your truth in your work, not pretend to be somebody else and think that you are going to attract money. And then lastly, I would add that entrepreneurship is the only path to economic sovereignty. What is sovereignty? Sovereignty says that I am a whole person able to take care of myself without anyone else's intervention. It means that as a woman, as a Black woman, if I am in the world looking for partnership, the partnership that I need is inside of me. I can't tell you how many relationships, how many years I spent looking for love outside of myself. That I thought that if I just got the right man, if I just could get in the right relationship, then I can't tell you how much of my own validation I was looking for outside of myself. And when I realized that every single thing that I could have ever been looking for was in me already, then I began to attract a totally different kind of circle, a totally different kind of energy, a totally different kind of man. And sovereignty says I am whole, and I am only attracting other whole people as friends, as lovers, as partners, as business partners, as people who want to move at the same pace as me. But when we are operating in our brokenness, what do? Attract a bunch of broken people. You attract broken partners. You attract people who want to take your light. You attract people who want to work for your business, but only want to take. They don't want to help you grow. And so becoming sovereign means becoming whole. And that means running a business that is whole. So an example would be, we had our fundraiser last week where we had about 200 guests. And if you've been to a typical nonprofit fundraiser, you know that they spent all night asking you for money. I did not ask for money one time. Because the truth of the matter is I'm running an organization that is a school for Black entrepreneurs. But what I also know is I am attracting people who will want to give to my business. I am attracting students who want to pay this work forward. I'm not begging anybody for anything. And so this is what sovereignty allows for you, is you begin to attract the customers who see value in you. You begin to attract the clients who want to do business with you. You begin to attract the people who want to throw money at you. Y'all, let me tell you, I have never, in the 6 years that I've been doing these particular businesses, advertised, marketed, or spent money a single dollar on advertising. Because there is a frequency that you begin to attract the right people. And these are what the system doesn't want us to know. They want to see us stuck on the hamster wheel, playing the game until we die. So all of this, as I started with, is a gift. And it is a gift and an invitation because I am challenging you as one Black woman to another to take some personal inventory right now. And I'm gonna tell you, you're not gonna like what you're gonna see. Let me tell you how this ends. You're not gonna like what you're gonna see. Because what it will require you to do is look at every domain of your life and ask yourself, do you like what you see? So I see y'all taking notes. I want you to write these things down. I want you to start with you. Put you in a circle. You are in the middle of the circle. So we're gonna do like a web here, a little spider web situation. And I want you to draw your name in the center of the circle in the middle. And I want you to ask yourself, what is it about you that you know you don't like? And I'll just use myself here for an example. When I started down this process of really facing myself, I had to say, babe, it's a lot that I don't like. It's a lot that I don't like. I was 50 pounds overweight. My money was fucked up. My credit score was not a reflection of who I really was. I had no money saved, even though I was making money. I was spending more money than I ever had saved. And I knew that if somebody pulled the rug back on me and looked at my personal integrity, they would say, this is incongruent. Who you are, this that we see behind this mask is not really who we know you to be. And starting with that personal integrity was the first step. I could not worry about not my business, not my partner, not nobody outside of me until I called myself to the carpet and aligned my own integrity with myself. And that took work. It meant that every Sunday I had to sit down with my raggedy self and say, now let's look at these bills. Let's come on, pull up that Bank of America app, babes. Come on. So you ate out that much this week, huh? Okay. So that thing, that course you wanted to invest in, that trip you wanted to take, you can't do that because you so busy doing stuff that don't matter. And I had to have those conversations with myself. And I had to say, so what is this really about? And I had to sit with myself. And I'm gonna call it out. I had to sit with my raggedy self because I was raggedy. I was so busy worried about everything else everybody else was doing that I had not really sat with myself. And in doing that, I had to give myself grace and forgiveness and say, okay, we're going to do better. And week after week, we got better. And then I had to look at other areas of my life. So you are at the center. I want you to write another spoke and write out your relationships. And I want you to do a serious audit on your relationships. And I want you to ask yourself, are they reciprocal? How many of those relationships are you still choosing to water with people that do not water you? How many people are you giving your time, energy, and resources to? And those people, if given the same opportunity, would do none of those things for you. And so I had to sit with, I thought she was my friend. You thought she was your friend until she didn't need you no more. You thought he liked you until he did not need you no more. So which of your relationships are truly reciprocal? And if they are not reciprocal, if they are not mutually beneficial, you got to let them go. And you got to do it with love and grace and ease and wish them well on their journey, because the people that you are meant to attract can't find you at that frequency. The other millionaires that you want to hang around with, don't hang around with people who talk like that, who talk about things that are impossible and talk about lack and struggle. They're not at that frequency. So you got to make space, and you can't make space if you still holding on to your cousin and them. You still like to go do hood rat stuff with your friends. And I know we all like to. I love to do that. But I had to put that into perspective because I realized it was stopping me from making space for the people that I knew I could attract. And then I want you to look at your business. Write a circle for your business. Does it light you up? And I'm not talking about, do you get excited when you make money? I'm talking about, are you just as excited about your business when it has $0 in the bank as when you got $1 million? And I had to learn a very critical piece is the one thing that I knew that my business gave me is I was in love with it, regardless of if I ever made a single dollar doing it. And that is what attracted millions to it. Not because I was begging for it or looking for it. It was because I loved the work so much that it never mattered if I made money. So that when it finally made money, I could really do the things I wanted to do with the business, which was always to help other people, right? And so if you are running a business that is not congruent with who you are, you will never resonate at the frequency of wealth. So let me let you in on another little secret. Wealth is a frequency. It's not a destination. It's not a place. It's a frequency. And it means that you have to get to that frequency no differently than you have to tune your radio station. So if you are in your car and you are listening to, XM radio or whatever it is, and you're on channel 47 and 48, wealth is a channel just like that. No differently than love is on a channel. And what they don't tell you is that love and wealth are similar frequencies. And when you love you so much that you don't tolerate things that you shouldn't tolerate, when you love you enough to say, I only use my time, energy, and resources in places that I desire, then you start to attract love and friendships and money. And the air is different here. I wish I could tell you, if I had all the time in the world, I would go on and tell you about how heaven is not a place that we die to get to. Heaven is a frequency that says when you start to align your life and your life choices with the things you truly desire, you feel like you live in heaven on earth. There is not anything that stresses me out. There is not anything that brings me drama. There is not anything that does not bring me peace in my life because I've actively chosen to live at this vibration. And this is possible for you through entrepreneurship, but only through entrepreneurship. I know it goes against everything that you've been taught for me to tell you. It's never coming from them jobs. It's never coming. It's false security. I don't give a shit how much they tell you they like you. I don't care how good you think you are on that job. It cannot come from a job because anything that somebody can take away from you is not secure. But you know what is secure? What you build with your business. Can't nobody take that from me. Can't nobody take nothing that I built by myself from me. And that's what I want you to do. So I want you to stop playing small. I want you to stop thinking that there are limits for what's possible for you. I know that when you are sitting in rooms like this and having conversations like this, I know you, I know your story. You the first one to do it. You the first one in your family. You the first one to go to therapy. You the first one to say, no, this is some bullshit. I'm not doing this no more. Which means that you know there's more because you've already overcome things that people thought you could not overcome. And so I'm here to be a gentle reminder from the universe that the way that you know there is more is because there is. And I'm going to tell you, not only is there more, but it gets so good. It gets so good that it only gets better and better and better. But the way that we get there, you're going to say, okay, Racheal, you told us all about heaven on earth. Now tell me how to get there. Is you have to take putting systems and procedures and policies and people into your business like your life depends on it. You think that running your business by yourself is a badge of honor. It is not. It is a reflection of your inability to release control. And so many Black women will tell me things like, I don't trust people. And I can't rely on people because they tried to steal from me. And I don't trust that they're not going to leave me and abandon me. Then what you got to do is you got to call in the people who are sent to help you. There are people out in the world whose mission aligns with yours. So when we have other dreamers and doers, and they want to come help visionaries. Now, they might not be the visionary themselves, but they want to help visionaries. And so I had to change my whole concept of the kind of people who I wanted to work with me, because the people I was attracting was users and leeches, right? So I had to say, you know what? I'm looking for spirit-led people. If they don't operate with spirit, they can't work here. And you can call that woo-woo, you can call whatever you want. But what I knew is that somebody who doesn't operate on this frequency they're going to think that what I'm talking about is not possible. So I need people who are a little kind of delusional themselves, because they also operate that way. And that was a huge shift in my business. And then I had to put technology in place to do everything. There is a piece of technology for everything in my businesses. So now what that looks like is I'm super protective of my time. People will say to me, it's really hard to get on your schedule. It's not. But to everybody else it is, because my time is the most valuable thing I have. So I don't let people pick my brain. I don't sit on the phone for hours talking to people about shit that don't matter. I don't. And I'm just telling you this because there was a time that I thought my value was in giving it away to helping people. No, I don't do that anymore. No. You want a strategy session, you got to pay for that. You want to just kind of kick it about business, you got to come to my program. You don't come to my program, I don't know what to tell you. But I've moved away from this idea that I got to give all my energy and essence to other people. So there's a process for every single thing in our business. And then I started looking for the people who could take over the mantle. So a year ago, I hired a chief operating officer who I knew could run the day-to-day of what I was building. And so even though I was hiring her to be my chief operating officer, what I recently told her is I was hiring you the whole time to do my job. Because I was looking for somebody to replace me, because I knew that that is the ultimate goal. Not to create a job that you can never get away from. The ultimate job in entrepreneurship to be to fire yourself so that you can go do the shit you really want to do. Like travel across Africa. That's what I'm going to be doing this summer. Like I said, I'm going to be working with Iyanla Vanzant and Queen Afua and going to Senegal and going to Morocco. And I'm doing my ancestry and my African ancestry. And I want to learn more about the people who could never do the things I'm doing. Entrepreneurship is not so that you can work a job for 20 more years and just say you work for yourself and therefore you did something. Entrepreneurship is supposed to be the gateway that opens you up to discover who you really are. And once you have that freedom, now you can say, okay, God, now what do you have for me? But I knew I could not do that in building mode. I had to get offline. I had to rest and start over to literally go build what would now be my global strategy. So I want to pause by saying, I am so grateful to share space with you all this morning. I appreciate you for allowing me to share my experience and my journey. I do want to open it up for any questions or reflections. If you notice, I don't lead anymore with slides and decks. I don't give a shit about that. I want to come and share the truth with women like you.
Ooh, thank you so much. I mean, you are speaking to my spirit. You are speaking to my spirit. There's so much stuff that you said. I'm in the business of operations also, and love it. And I feel like I feel like it's been hard for me to find somebody who I feel like is way out ahead of the way that I've been thinking and has like figured it out. And you are that. Because I've been getting pulled. I'm like, oh, do this marketing and do this posting, and I'm like, I don't think I gotta do all that shit. Mm-hmm. And then like listening to you, like I'm like, no, I think I just gotta follow the joy. Like so, just kind of knowing these things or feeling these things and sensing them, and then hearing from somebody who actually made it there, it really is clarifying. So I just want to thank you for laying it all out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my comment, not a question. But
yeah, my reflection also is like so much of what you said resonated with me. I feel like you've been peeking in my house, like I came in my. But yeah, I just really. I'm also a nurse, so I work part time, and sometimes I hang on to that because it's like a security blanket. And I want to let it go so I always say, if I just would tap in full time to the entrepreneur, I know, what I could do, but I still hang on to the nurse aspect. But just so much of what you said just kind of touched on so much that I've been thinking about. So.
I see some comments here. It says, Angela says, this was a sermon, testimony, confirmation, and some more stuff. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. And so I really do want to encourage you all, right? Like I know a lot of what I shared is, sometimes a little paradigm shifting, because the questions that we are left asking ourselves is, okay, so am I supposed to quit my job? Am I supposed to lead a man? Like, what am I supposed to do, right? And what I would say is like, go build the thing that your heart is telling you to build. And I got to give you that, right? So back in 2020, during the pandemic, I was really in deep building mode, and Spirit was calling me inward. And I can remember a time where I was married at the time. And again, it's pandemic and everybody's having fun, right? And so my husband was like riding bikes, and he was having so much fun being outside. And he would be like, I want you to come ride bikes with me. And I would say, respectfully, I'm building this thing. Like I'm here, I'm putting in the work because it's coming, right? I'm getting these downloads, God is pouring into me. And I didn't always have the language to say it, but what I would honestly push back and say, I can't have fun right now. I can't. Like I'm not there. I gotta give this what it's asking me to give. Now, I'm gonna talk my shit for a little bit, because the exact business that I was building 5 years ago, when everybody else was having fun, people are watching me retire myself from in 5 years. And I want to give you that because they couldn't see it then. Even the man I was married to, they would say shit to me. People would say this to my face. Yeah, your wife don't never be outside. That must make you feel some kind of way. And the truth was, it did make him feel some kind of way that I didn't want to roller skate and bike ride. There's nothing wrong with that. But in that season, God was giving me the vision. And what I'm proud of myself for was having the ability to say, baby, this is building season. I don't give a crap about what y'all doing outside during the pandemic. And respectfully, even though him and I are really dear friends, he's watching me live the life of my dreams 5 years later. I've been to 10 countries in 12 months. I'm diamond medallion. I fly first class in Delta One all around the world, simply letting my business take me to places. My business pays for my professional development. So me going to Senegal and taking my daughter to the door of no return this summer is professional development that my business pays for. I get to write this off on my taxes. Can y'all understand? This is a different level of living that I did not know was possible. And 5 years ago, somebody was trying to get me to go outside and play. And I want to help you understand that. So, like, when people call me now with like go outside fun, that's not fun to me. Somebody just messaged me this morning and she said, no joke, guys. Hey, do you want to come and be on the boat for the fireworks? No. What are you talking about? No. That's not fun to me. And I'm saying this respectfully, but it's funny because people gonna want you to go do a bunch of bullshit, but do something that's gonna build your business, right? So you can't get me outside in the fireworks for nothing. Now, if you told me that I was gonna be surrounded by other dreamers and doers, oh, then I can go have fun with them. But I can't go have fun with people who have no vision. It's not fun to me. It's actually soul sucking. So I don't want to be around those kind of people. I don't want to have those kind of conversations. You could call that whatever you want, but what I'm telling you that it will require is you to get a little selfish with your energy. So when you're being called to build something, that means you don't have energy for everybody else's thing. I can't tell you how many birthday parties I showed up to, how many baby showers, how many graduations, all a waste of time. You showing up for other people, but you won't show up for yourself. Let me tell you something. I had all the energy in the world to give other people, but I couldn't get my ass in my own home gym in my basement. Didn't even have the mental energy to say, this is for me, this is good for me. Now I go to the gym and you can't get me up out of there. But the point I'm making is because I was giving away every little bit of energy that I had left after working that job, after taking care of my kids, after taking care of my husband. The energy that I had left, I was giving to other people and not reserving for myself. And so now I operate the opposite way. Oh no, baby, I'm the most selfish person when it comes to my time and energy there is. And I'm only gonna give of my overflow. So do I still have people who invite me to stuff? A girlfriend invited me to a birthday party yesterday. And in my mind, I was gonna go. By the middle of the day, I realized I don't have the energy for this. I sent her an edible arrangement right as her party was starting. And I said, babe, I am with you in spirit, but I don't have the energy. And that is what leads me now. My energy, not obligation, not what other people think I should do, not I don't want to let them down. The only thing that dictates what I do and how I do it is my energy. Respectfully, I love Nakia, but if I didn't have the energy for this, I wouldn't have done it this morning. You know what I'm saying?
So grateful you had the energy, Racheal. So grateful.
It's real talk, right? Like you gotta be so unapologetic about you to the point where other people gonna think you crazy. And the truth is, I don't really care. I don't really care anymore because the truth of the matter is, hold on, where'd y'all go? I only see myself. Hold on.
The people in the room fell off. The internet in that room is weird sometimes, so they're probably coming right back. But,
got it. Okay, I was like, where?
But there's some the people still online. So
okay, great. And so I offer this because when I was operating from a place where everybody else was more important than me, it was reflected in my business. Right? When I made that shift, and I got to tell you, it was about 2 years ago where I said, no, you are the most important thing in this business. You, no one else. Everyone else orbits around you. And this is what we have to get to in entrepreneurship. So I'm not sharing this as just a way to share my own personal story. I'm sharing it because up until very recently, I did not know that that was how people were operating. And I thought there was only one way, and it was the way that I was used to operating. And so now when I have these talks with people, I want you to be so sovereign that you don't need other people's money. You don't need business grants and loans to run your business. I've been running these businesses for 6 years and I've never had to borrow. I've never had to borrow. And I say that because even when I thought that I needed, okay, well, maybe I need a line of credit, maybe I need to have this reserve. Matter of fact, let me rephrase that. I took a loan, a small loan one time to run this business, and I was able to pay it right back. But being sovereign says is I'm doing this in a way that energetically keeps me whole. I'm not beholden to other people. If nobody else gives me $1 to run this organization or these businesses, I can still run. I don't have to shuck and jive or kiss anybody's behind to get ahead. I can say what I want to say because I own my own voice and my own platform. These are freedoms that what entrepreneurship is really about. But we've been told that entrepreneurship is about how good we look on the internet. It's about how well we look in the journey, even though we're exhausted, right? And we're falling out, crashing out. We've been told to look the part on the internet, and that equates success. What I'm here to tell you is success is when you can define it on your own terms. And that is what sovereignty is about. It means that on days where I just want to sleep in, right, and stay with my beloved, again, I left from being with my beloved this morning to come with you all because I knew how deeply passionate my spirit wanted me to talk about this very thing. But I have days like that. And because he operates that way, there are days where we don't have to be anywhere. We don't have to do anything. And he's somebody who was incredibly successful as well. And so again, there is a whole other life that is possible with entrepreneurship if we allow it. But it means being okay releasing the version that we currently are subscribing to. It means that you are not on the internet begging people to work with you. You are not on the internet saying, hey, see me, look at me. You are offering your gift or your service to the world in a way that only resonates at the frequency of other people who hear it. That means that when I put out my next offer for coaching and supports and retreats and all of this beautiful work that I'm building, it will be simply, here we are. If this resonates, welcome. Different shift. And so I can literally see through entrepreneurs now who are, desperately hoping that if the right group of people validate their business, then their business will be successful. It's not true. Because it doesn't matter. No one is coming to save you but you. No one. They're not coming to save you. They're not coming to save your business. The only person that you can depend on is you. So again, I want to thank you, Nakia. Thank you for always, allowing me to just be my whole self. And this is what these kind of spaces represent for me, which is even when we're sharing often uncomfortable or difficult truths, that if we as Black women cannot be honest about what the journey really is, then we're doing ourselves a disservice, to those who are on the journey, who are on the path. But then also we're doing a disservice to ourselves because there was a version of me who was also looking for more, and constantly being told that you're crazy, or why can't you be content, or why can't you be comfortable with what you have? I knew that I couldn't be content with what was being presented because there really, really, really was more. All right, so I wanted to just leave a little bit more space if there is any other questions or comments. I know that we have just a little bit more time left, but I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Rachel, this was so affirming, so affirming. And when you sent me, what you were planning to talk about, I'm like, okay, whatever it is, because everybody's always like, Rachel, after all the sessions. And I just needed words to put on in the platform so people would know what they were walking into. But this was just so timely for me. And I know that I'm just a mirror for somebody else too. I know that, whatever I'm feeling, experiencing, there's somebody else that is as well. But I'm at the airport, and on my way here this morning, I was literally having a conversation with my husband about just like what I'm doing. and him asking me, or just kind of pushing where I was saying, no, I think like I don't want to do this thing anymore. And him really pushing on that, like, well, it's work. Like, I don't want to do all of this all the time, but it's work. And like, I feel like, you live in this place where, if it doesn't like light you up and, your whole, then you don't feel like you should do it. And I was like, I don't. And
Right.
so it's just so interesting that you spoke that today, because when I got here to the airport and got, logged on to this call today, I was coming off of that conversation. I was feeling very like, oh, I'm so glad somebody else is bleeding. I don't have a lot to like give because I'm, coming off of that conversation. So, I'm sharing my own thing, but just knowing that, like, again, I'm, I'm all like, we're always mirrors for one another. And I'm so thankful that God sent you today to let me know that I'm not crazy. Um, well, and that, my childlike wonder and belief that what I spend so much time doing should absolutely light me up is not, um, it's not crazy. It's not, you know, um, I'm not being childish or irresponsible and feeling that way.
Yeah. Yes. You are not. And in fact, the more we follow the things that light us up, even when they don't make sense to other people, that's where the magic is. And you specifically use the words childlike wonder, and that's exactly what it is. It's kind of like we are to follow our spirit wherever it takes us. So imagine your spirit is a butterfly and you're out in a garden and it's a beautiful, garden, and the butterfly is just going from one place to the other. That's what our spirit is inviting us to do. But we think that the path has to be linear. We think that it has to make a lot of sense. And I'll give this a quick example is someone asked me, well, how did you know that you were being called to Senegal? And I will give you an example. The universe speaks to us in signs, symbols, and synchronicities. And when you are busy, you miss the messages. When you slow down and you are present, you can see them. So in a 24-hour period, 3 different situations presented themselves to me about Senegal. And it had never even crossed my mind. But when literally I saw the first Black woman opening a hotel in Senegal, I met an artist who was opening a retreat center in Senegal. And I think the third thing was a friend of mine had just come back from this beautiful experience. And it did not dawn on me that all 3 of these places were talking about Dakar. And so I sat with myself and I said, okay, what is it that you are calling me to Senegal for? And my spirit said, the door of no return. It is the last place that our ancestors walked through before they came to the Americas. And that there are things that I'm not even going to get on my spiritual journey until I take that pilgrimage. And so instead of overthinking it, saying, I don't have the money, I knew that that was what my spirit was telling me. And that this is the way that I've always run my businesses, is that spirit gives me just the next couple of steps. But the thing about it is, you will not get the next set of steps if you were not obedient for the first 3. And so when you are given ideas or divine inspiration, you think that you're going to just keep praying for more, but you haven't taken action on what you've already been given. And so now for me, that spirit led childlike wonder is what leads my day, to the point where I'll say, I don't mind having a few things that are scheduled on my day, but the best days for me are the days that my spirit just flows And I end up meeting people, having beautiful conversations. I am always reminded of how good the world is because I'm following spirit. Now, here's what's difficult about that. When you are following your spirit, it also means you're not following nobody else's. And that may mean that you're following a path that don't make sense to other people. And that's okay. In fact, you really are not being as visionary as you think you are if people don't think you a little crazy. And I'm gonna tell you something. I've been peopled and said there's a level of delusion, audacity, and magic that I operate with. Because you can't tell me nothing's possible. I'm the same girl who grew up in the projects of Detroit. You can't tell me that this isn't possible because my whole life is a manifestation of that. As Black women, our entire existence is resistance to the system. How many of y'all saw the movie Straw yet?
I saw it the other day. It was too heavy for me.
But listen, it was heavy. And
It was real. It was real.
Yeah, it was very triggering to my nervous system.
Very, very triggering.
Which is why I have not watched it.
I won't ruin it, but it's a lot.
No, go ahead, because I might not.
No, don't ruin it. No, she was gonna ruin it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to ruin it. But what I will tell you is this: that movie, if you can get the message, is really about the reality that Black women face all day, every day. Now, she was having the worst day of her MF in life, okay? But the truth is, that could be somebody's week or month, right? This is somebody's reality. Watching movies like that, we sometimes do have to remind ourselves how far we've come. Because if that's not your reality, then you have the grace of God to think that that's not still your reality. But was that once my reality? Absolutely. Absolutely it was. So what I'm saying is that when I was trying to get off of welfare, they thought I was crazy. When I was trying to start that first business with no money, people thought I was crazy. When I quit that job, people thought I was crazy. Do you understand that what I'm saying? That following your actual spirit will make you look crazy to other people. And what we care so much about is what other people think. I'm gonna tell you something. They tell you that this happens when you turn 40. I'm gonna be really transparent. A lot of the shifts I'm talking about happened the minute I turned 40. You stop giving a shit about a lot of stuff. You really do. You really do. Because you realize how much other people's perceptions of you is what's holding you back.
Yeah.
When you stop caring, you would actually move. You would do the things you really want to do because you don't care what nobody gonna say. And so I invite you all to lean into a spirit-led life. And what is that? That is not necessarily I go to church every day life, or I follow what my pastor say life. Now, again, this might be a little far out there for some people. Okay. I'm saying following your intuition. If you walk into a room and your spirit is like, I don't like the way it feel up in here, I'll walk out. It was good to see y'all. I'm gonna holler at y'all. Right? I would resist that before. I would say, well, maybe you off. No, you're not. Your anxiety is high, get out of there. You keep going into those meetings where they keep telling you to be quiet and keep your ideas to yourself. Why are you still there? These are the things that your spirit been telling you the whole time, but we stopped listening to it because we stopped trusting ourselves. Where really what we're being called to is the more you trust you, the more you're not going to fail you. It's impossible. It's impossible for you to fail you. It will not happen. Because the more you love you and you trust you, then you know that everything your spirit is telling you is for your highest good. But we live our lives through a lens of trauma. So imagine all three of the women I'm looking at on screen right now are wearing glasses. Imagine that each of you wearing glasses. The way four. All right, four.
No.
Okay. You are looking at life through a pair of glasses. And the reality that you see is shaped by how thick and distorted your glasses are. or how clear your glasses are. And I'm going to tell you something. Trauma clouds your glasses. The shit that happened to you darkens your glasses. For the purpose of this analogy, I'm going to put on, where are my glasses? When we as Black women have been walking around, letting the trauma that happened to us be who we are, we walking around with shaded glasses on. Because we think that everything is out to get us. We think that everything is bad. We think that we can't trust. We think that if we let them get too close, they gonna hurt. Do you see where I'm going with this? And so the healing work is what is required to get clear glasses. The healing work is saying, enough of this. I know my grandma and my mama and them all were poor. Enough. It's not my birthright to be poor anymore. I know that they did the best they could out of survival. I know they did. And I know they wanted more. But enough is enough. If your glasses are clear, then you can see opportunities. Then you can see the man who actually liked you. I'm gonna go there, because the truth was I could never see the man who actually liked me because my glasses were so thick. I thought that the man who liked me was the man who was coming to take from me. In fact, the man who liked me was only coming to build. He was only coming to offer. But I didn't know because my glasses were so thick. And my glasses were so thick because everything that could happen to me had happened to me. So it was so much stuff. I thought that it meant I was bad, or something was wrong with me, or I was cursed, or it must just be me, because why does life keep kicking my ass? The whole time, what I didn't know is that's the initiation. You can't get clear glasses until you can own and accept that everything you went through for you to learn. This was your education. And in fact, the worse those things were that happened to you, and the better you handled them, the more you graduated. So when I learned how to alchemize the pain that I was going through into purpose, so that everything that was thrown at me turned into purpose, I became unstoppable. And that's not coming from a place of arrogance. That's saying, let me really give y'all this. And it's on my heart, because I don't even share this with every group that I speak to. And I speak all over the place. That same year that I was on this job and then white people wasn't doing me right, and I'm going through all the corporate microaggressions and all of the traditional things, was also the same year that my son and my nephew and two of their friends got arrested. They were 18 on murder charges in Virginia. Y'all, we live in Detroit. How my son ended up with murder charges in Virginia, I wish I could tell you. But I don't have to tell you about the Commonwealth of Virginia and what that system is like. And even when that was happening and my marriage was failing and my brother died of COVID and I had to put my sister in a mental hospital in 1 year, I had the good fortune of knowing these things are happening not to me, but for me. I was delusional as hell. These things are happening for me. It's something I'm supposed to learn. I can't figure this out, because there is no way that God could take me through this and not make it for my good. And so if you were to have asked me 5 years ago, hey, how is this going to end for you? I would have said, I'm going to be sad, depressed, overweight, miserable, looking crazy. I would have probably said there's no way that I can get through this unscathed. What I'm here to tell you is all of that was fuel. Because what it gave me is, if the world can kick my ass in this way, it ain't nothing nobody can tell me about my business. You can't tell me no, and that's gonna hurt my feelings. That's just not my opportunity. You can't tell me that what I desire is not possible, because the worst things have already happened to me. There's freedom in that. When life has already kicked your ass, it ain't nowhere to go but up, if you choose to see it that way. But we have been taught to carry the things that happen to us like badges of honor. We lead with our trauma. We lead with, I was the high school dropout who had a baby at 17, who, we lead with that, versus The system tried to get me at 18, but I didn't let it win. Right? The man I married tried to tell me you want too much. I didn't hear that. Nope. Sorry, brother. You can't get, you got to wake up a little earlier in the morning now to get me. Because what I've learned is the things that happen to us it fuels our purpose. But that's why you've got to walk towards purpose. Because if you're walking towards nothing, you get nothing. If you're walking towards being liked, you're going to get people who like you. And that's it. Think about all the people you see on social media with a huge following. What are they doing with it? So what does it mean to have a following? Nothing. But that's what we're conditioned to think that we want. What I'm here to tell you is that walk towards your purpose. Watch your whole life change. Walk towards your purpose unapologetically. And I'm trying to tell you every detail about my life, from the Porsche that I drive to the high-rise, luxury, beautiful, brand spanking new townhouse that I live in. All of these things I could not imagine, because I could not believe that if life is whooping your ass, that you could get goodness from it. Whole time, the more life whoops your ass, and the better you say, thank you, universe. Thank you, God, thank you for trusting me with your toughest battles. Thank you for knowing that I was strong enough that if you gave it to me, I would see it through. Thank you for trusting me enough to know that what you sent here, that the enemy sent to destroy me, you gave it to build me up, build my confidence, make me tougher, show me who my real friends were, show me that I didn't really need nobody but God. That's what this is about. And what we do with our businesses is vicarious. Who we are as people is what is the most important. And what we build becomes an extension of us. So when you're building a business that's rooted in purpose, that's rooted in love and integrity and honesty, is it going to be difficult sometimes? Sure. Right? We got a high-ass payroll. I'd be looking at payroll sometimes and be like, who's paying this? Except it happens every month. We have a $50,000 a month payroll, and it happens every month without fail, because the universe is going to keep rewarding when you showing up with the right kind of energy. I never worry about making payroll. And my point in sharing with you with that is I was waiting on the day that somebody would pay me $1,000 to run my business, let alone $1 million. So while I'm so grateful to be able to share these truths with you all, and I'm being that bold to call them truths, is because this is hard won. This is a lot of battle scars. This is 20 years of fighting a good fight. But this is my purpose now. Not to talk to people about what you can do with when you got an 800 credit score and your money good. I don't give a shit about that. I want to tell you about when you figure out some of these things I'm telling you, the quicker you figure them out, the quicker you can get to your magic. That's what I want for you. Go get your magic, because it's waiting for you. The relationship, the money, the business, the lifestyle, it's waiting for you to get out your own way and for you to even believe that that's possible for you. It is waiting for you to get out of your way. It's your spirit is waiting for you to be sick of your own shit.
I think that's it. That was the word.
That was the word. That was the word.
Wow.
That's
I
the
think
title.
if the kid has anything else, I wanted to thank you profusely, Racheal. Yeah. I gotta sit with so much stuff that you said, and yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Racheal.
Thank you.